starts at 7:10. Started at 7:10 here for a long time.
What's up, everybody? You are listening to the 10After7 podcast with your host, Michael Cody Stephenson. It's January of 2021, which is an accomplishment in itself. That only means that we survived the year 2020. We all deserve a round of applause for that one. But I must say, don't think for a second that on this podcast we're just going to dismiss the year 2020. Let's not forget that the Los Angeles Dodgers became World Series champions in the year 2020, and Clayton Kershaw finally got the long-awaited ring on his finger, the greatest left-handed pitcher of his generation. He deserved a ring more than any other athlete in any other sport. And then the Los Angeles Lakers went into the Orlando bubble and won a 17th franchise championship, led by LeBron James and Anthony Davis. So Los Angeles rose to the top of the sports world. Title town, baby. And you know what happened in 2020? The mighty have fallen. Tom Brady finally had enough. He said, I'm out. I'm done with the New England Patriots. I've won my 6 Super Bowls. I'm taking my talents to Tampa because I just think that this New England Patriots organization's headed in the wrong direction. And you still heard Boston fans chirp. They still had the audacity to chirp after losing the greatest quarterback of all time. They said, we got the greatest coach of all time. We signed Cam Newton. We're still going to make the playoffs. And you know what happened? That New England Patriots team was a sub-500 team and missed out on the playoffs for the first time since 2007. And we ain't hearing shit out of those Boston accents now. And that wasn't even the worst thing to happen in the year 2020 for Boston fans. Remember in the early days of 2020 when the Boston Red Sox were cheap and decided we're going to trade away our superstar right fielder and Mookie Betts to the Los Angeles Dodgers because we simply don't want to pay him. We don't have the money. But on this podcast, we're forever thankful for the Boston Red Sox organization for that one. So as Los Angeles is on top of the sports world, the Boston, Massachusetts sports scene is in the shitter, and it looks to be that way for the next decade plus. And that right there deserves a round of applause. No, we will not forget the year 2020 on this podcast. Let's get started. This is episode number 48 of the 10After7 podcast, and I'm not going to lie. I usually could think of the greatest number 48 that pops in my head, but not this time. I had to pull up an article by Bleacher Report that goes through every number in sports history and says who's the greatest to wear it. And how dare I not think of this when the number 48 popped in my head? I'm ashamed. The greatest number 48 in sports history, the number 48 car, Jimmy Johnson. And that's the only NASCAR reference you're going to get on this podcast for the rest of the year. Let's get that out of the way. This week, we're here to talk about one of the best sports weekends of the year, NFL Wild Card Weekend. We get playoff games on Saturday, get playoff games on Sunday, and it's our sports just how we like them. Win or go home, survive in advance. We get to watch the cream rise to the top, and we're just a couple of weeks away from watching the Super Bowl at our friend's house with potato chips and onion dip, with all the beers flowing. And on that Monday, when we start our diets, we're feeling good and also sad at the same time that football season's over. But this week, they're deeming it Super Wild Card Weekend because the NFL decided to add a couple of playoff teams to the mix. So we get 2 triple headers, 3 games on Saturday, 3 games on Sunday. And when we think we've had enough football on Monday, when we're a little bit hungover and still bloated, we get to flip on ESPN and watch the national championship game between the Ohio State Buckeyes and the Alabama Crimson Tide. That's right, the hated ones. And on this podcast, I'm going to pick winners of the 6 wild card games, and my picks will always hold value. If anything is going to stay the same in 2021, it's that my picks hold value because they're just flat out shitty. I feel like you could pull up 100 different podcasts, and they're going to give you some winners, some losers. You're going to win some money here and there, but on this podcast, you're always going to win money. Because when I tell you to hammer a team 6.5, you better go the other way. The worst place to be is in the middle, and I'm down at the bottom as the worst guy to give you picks week in and week out. So new year, same old me. And yes, I'm a big dry January guy. I must say that. I'm on day 7 right now. I feel like I'm going to get to double digits every other year. I don't think I made it to double digits. So let's go. Let's begin with the first game on Saturday morning between the 7th seed Indianapolis Colts going into Buffalo to take on the 2 seed Buffalo Bills. I was bullish on the Bills all year. I said, you know what? I can't trust Josh Allen. All this MVP talk, he's only done it a couple weeks. Let's slow down. He's always trying to make things happen. He really can't hang on to the football. He's turnover prone. I'm not going to put my faith in the Buffalo Bills. But then they started to roll off some wins. Obviously, we know about the acquisition when they picked up Stephon Diggs. It ends up that he was the NFL leader in receptions and yards this year. He was the security blanket that Josh Allen needed, and Josh Allen took that step because after 17 weeks, Josh Allen is being mentioned in the same breath as Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes for the MVP award, and he deserves to be there. And if there's one stat that you need to know going into this weekend about this first game, hear me out. The Bills are the 4th team over the last 40 seasons to enter the playoffs on an 8-game cover streak. 8-game cover streak. We've said it many times on this podcast before. Good teams win, great teams cover. The Bills are a great team. If you go the other way after hearing that stat, you should no longer pick games. That's all you need to know. And all you need to see is probably the video that surfaced on Twitter earlier on Thursday morning when the Buffalo Bills were dancing all over the football field, feeling themselves. They were loose as ever. And they were loose because they know on Saturday morning they are going to kick the shit out of the Indianapolis Colts, and that -6.5 Bills hammer it home. This is what's going to happen. Yes, we know the Colts have a pretty electric rookie running back in Jonathan Taylor, but they're not going to be able to use him because the Bills are going to go up early in this one. And the Indianapolis Colts just can't run the ball because they're going to need to throw it with Phillip Rivers to get back into the game. And we know when Phillip Rivers throws the football one too many times, there's going to be multiple interceptions in this game. The Buffalo Bills defense is going to be more than happy to watch Phillip Rivers drop back in the pocket and throw that ball over the football field because they are going to have many of opportunities to come up with the INT. So Bills are going to win this one by 2+ touchdowns. I'm telling you right now. And I think it's actually going to be a collision course when the Buffalo Bills meet up in the AFC Championship against the Kansas City Chiefs, and our log questions will be answered about Josh Allen. Can he go toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes?